Hey friend, welcome back to Canvas and Conversations. I'm Devin with Mind Over Mata, and today's spotlight interview is with my friend Charity. In this episode, we talk about her creative journey from illustration to photography and how she's continued to create alongside working in real estate. We dive into what inspires her to get out and capture moments through her lens, some of the projects she has coming up this summer, and what it looks like to make space for creativity in everyday life. We also touch on a bigger conversation around AI and the different perspectives surrounding it in the creative community. It's a thoughtful, easygoing conversation between two creatives just sharing their experiences. So get comfy and come hang out with us. Hey everybody, welcome to Canvas and Conversations. This is Devin with Mind Over Mata, and this is another spotlight interview. And I have Miss Charity here. Thank you so much for being here, Charity. How are you doing today?
I am doing good. How are you?
Good, good. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the creative work you do. I know that you've kind of dabbled in a bunch of stuff, but what are you working on right now?
So, right now, I've been working on a lot of photography. I always wanted to do like people portraits and weddings, and then kind of whoopsied into doing that. And it's been great. And then I somehow get to do a little more of that, and it's even better. When I'm not doing that, I really love taking pictures of architecture and the interiors of houses, like moody shots of just interior design, living rooms, living spaces. And then I also apparently really like flower photography.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
one of those random things. I love it.
Yeah. So, how did you get started in photography? Was it just sort of like a hobby at first and then it kind of flourished?
So I've been thinking about that question, and I think a little bit of it came from my dad. He was always interested in cameras, especially, born in the 60s and whatnot. So cameras was a whole different thing back then. And then I want to say in 2007 or so, he got me a Nikon D40, which was my very first DSLR. 6 megapixels. I actually still have it. I need to get it cleaned. The battery still works. I put a memory card in it and I didn't know how to read it because the memory card was too big. And so I brought that with me everywhere. I sometimes surprise myself looking at my old like DeviantArt page how much photography is on there. I would just take pictures of everything, and I was still young, like, I wasn't even in high school yet, so I didn't fully grasp the technical side of how to take the pictures I wanted, but I still tried, and there's some good shots, there's some bad shots, there's some, like, "What am I even trying to take a picture of here?" Right? But it definitely just stuck with me for so long, and then I kinda fell out of it for a while, and then I wanna say maybe about 5 years ago or so, I was doing a lot of, like, miniature painting and stuff, and we wanted to take essentially product photos of what we were painting and try to do, like, commission work and stuff, so I picked up a Canon and talked with some of my friends about which one to do for that because he was also kinda doing similar stuff, and then I had another friend who did a lot of marketing and product photography and this, that, and the other, and he gave me a great crash course on how to take insane product photos, especially of tiny things. And then I'm like, wait, I just have a camera again. I don't even have to use it for that. I'll just go take pictures again. So it came back. I've been told that I am a repressed photographer at heart because I chose illustration and drawing and music and all of these other things instead of photography, which is what I had been doing since I was like 12, basically.
You know, thinking about it, I've always been attached to photography in some sort of fashion as well. And there was a couple projects that I did a few years back now where I actually doodled on the photo and it was super fun and I saw other people do it. I was like, "Man, I want to do a whole series on that." And I never got around to it. And so that's what I want to do and try to kind of finesse more of my photography skills and doodle, but like kind of do a mixed media effect and where I doodle on the image and kind of add a little bit more to what you're visually seeing.
Mhm.
But also, I just figure my phone is like incredibly full of photos. Like, I'm always taking photos. And I do have my actual camera as well, and I've already started doing photography for my dad, for his company because he builds houses. So I've take photos of the real estate or the completed project and put it on the website. So you and I seem to be kind of like shifting into the photography realm a little bit together at the same time, like same timeline.
Oh, for sure.
Somehow it's always been there, but we're both coming back to it.
Right, it's like, "Oh, hello, my long lost love."
Yeah, definitely. And it's just crazy the things that you once loved, but then it's not only came back, but like expanded and like
Mhm.
flourished into even more than what you thought. Like for example, the floral photography that you mentioned, it's just like something random, but you're like, I like this too.
Yeah, yeah. I think floral photography stuck with me a little bit. I took a photography elective in high school, and the teacher, one of her favorite things was taking pictures of flowers. Like,
Mm.
that was just her zen, her joy. And so I didn't quite get it back then because obviously I was like an edgy teenager and liked emo things and grunge and like, oh, flowers, that's so girly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on my most recent trip to Washington, we went to a conservatory and it was rainy the whole time, but like more so than normal raininess. And it was just such the perfect mood to get these flowers because they were so rich in color and everything else outside was kind of just gray and muted. But because it was always so moist, it really increased the like vibrancy of everything.
Yeah.
And so I wound up getting some very, I guess, gothy feeling flower photos.
Ah,
I was just so happy about them.
yeah. Because then it links up to what you're interested in and it kind of makes it more you versus it's like, I don't know, I don't really feel like this. But then it's like, ooh, this actually matches my whole like vibe and mood and
Yeah.
what I'm trying to accomplish. So that works out actually really nice. Yeah. Somehow the weather worked on your terms that day.
I mean, I think cloudy weather is always on my terms, but
Mm.
whatever.
It's just like one day you're like, it's gonna be cloudy today.
I finally feel alive. I'll go outside and do stuff. It's gonna rain.
It's so funny because I'm a little bit different in that aspect. I love my sunshine. I strive. I do like the moody days of where I'm like inside and reading a book when it's raining and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But most of the time, I'm definitely way more bubbly and vibrant and outgoing when the sun is out.
Yeah, yeah.
So, would you say that it's kind of more of a hobby that turned into like more of a part-time job, or is it something you want to maybe become your full-time job eventually?
That one's always so tough. So I tried to turn illustration into a full-time job and it just kind of clashed with my soul. I feel like there's a lot of emotional and mental investment that goes into creating art like that that I couldn't do as a job. Photography feels a little bit on the outside of that. There's something about the technical aspect to it and being able to interact with the real world in real time, I guess, and just so directly that kind of takes away that weird investment that I have in it. I don't know if I could ever do full time because then it's just turning a thing that I like into the thing that gives me money, and there's no way to do that without stress.
Yeah.
So it's more than a hobby, but it's less than a full-time job.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a passion, but it's also just I do enjoy the aspect of taking pictures, going and editing them. That's such a good mechanical time for me too.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you've done a lot of traditional work in the past. So, based off of being a traditional artist but also a photographer, how does that play into when you edit your photos?
It makes me sad that there isn't a super easy way to add the texture or the crunchiness of like a vintage photo or a Polaroid. I think that's a good question. The first thing that came to mind after that is it bugs me a little bit because when you're drawing, right, you have total control over whatever it is, especially if you're drawing digitally. And so something's not in the right spot, you just erase it, paint over it, you move it, you fix it, you get rid of it. In a photo, sure, you can like take things out, but unless you're really reviewing the photos on the spot, you can't just like go back and take that picture again and have the person stand half a foot to the left or whatever. Like, oh, you didn't move that hair out of your face or whatever. So that that is a little stressful because I notice those things from so much of the traditional art.
Mhm. But you would say that maybe some of your point of view has changed because, like, the way that you take a photo now might be slightly different than without those original skills, you think?
Oh, absolutely. I think doing things and focusing on composition is a lot easier because I like to do a lot of illustration, which is just storytelling with pictures. And so the composition is really what sells that to the viewer. Like, how are the characters interacting? Where does your eye look? What props are in there to convey a story to you with absolutely no words? And so, with all of that background, sometimes it's easier to, okay, what sort of story do I want to tell with this photo? Because I can think from those angles or those viewpoints or whatever. I think the hard part that comes into play with that though is actually making it happen in terms of like props or getting the right things or getting the right location because now every little thing has to be thought of and put in place because with a drawing, I can just go work with my model, tell them the mood that I want to convey, or give them a noun or a feeling, or even a little bit of the story, get them in the pose, and then either draw it or take the picture. It doesn't matter if they're just like standing in the middle of the room and there's boxes in the background or whatever. Like, I can just work with that, I'll paint it out. But with
Yeah.
the photo, you actually have to have everything
Right.
in place. And in a way, it's so tedious, but also liberating because you don't know what's going to happen with those things once you have them. It might change it in a better way.
Right. Well, and there's times where I've caught myself taking the same photo, like, I don't know, 20 to 100 times, but
Mhm.
it all looks like the same photo, but there's just things that
Yeah.
are different about it. And you're like, out of these 50, which one's the best one?
They're all the same. There was that meme I saw on socials, and it's so real. It's like photographers at 4 a.m. in the morning, and they're all like hunched up close to the screen, scrolling between two pictures, and they're virtually identical, except the model's like hand is like slightly lower in one. And it's like, which one's better?
Yeah, it's exactly like that.
Every time.
I feel that. That is definitely that explains the whole experience.
And then then it just keeps going. I do that with pictures of my cat. It's like it doesn't matter. It's the cat.
But I've done the same thing even with selfies. Like I've taken so many selfies just for one photo, and I'm like, I scratch all the rest. I just throw the rest away. I'm
Just
like,
delete them. I don't need that.
yeah. So I spend an hour taking photos of myself, and I only used one photo.
Mhm. Sounds about right. I think the best part of that is you take all of those photos and then you forget to delete them because, like, you really should have left like 20 minutes ago, right? And then later, your photos app's like, look at this memory from way back. And it's like 10 pictures that are all the same.
Although there was one time that I did do that or have that experience, but what was funny was I came back and I was like, that's not a bad picture.
Right?
Like, I'm kind of glad I didn't throw that away.
Yeah, the step back and then you
Yeah.
reevaluate, like, oh, that actually works out.
Yeah.
Oh, what I was thinking.
Take a bunch of photos and then look at them later because you just don't know.
Truly.
So, apart from kind of arranging items for a photo or worrying about the editing and stuff like that, what other challenges have you experienced as far as your creative path when it comes to photography?
I think the two biggest ones are just getting bored of looking at it while I'm editing. Doing a whole wedding is nice because then I can have, like, the getting ready pictures and then the ceremony, and then the dance is going to be totally different because it'll be darker and moodier and stuff. And so I can kind of get around by just working on different parts, like kind of selecting my photos and then, oh, I really don't want to look at the getting ready pictures anymore. I'm going to go look at something else and
Yeah.
keep working on it. But even through cycling, it's still like, oh, I want to get this done. I'm so excited about these photos. I've been literally looking at it for hours. Like, I'm so tired of seeing these pictures.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is going out there and doing photos. I'm trying to get in the good habit of having my camera with me all the time, but then it's like, okay, I'm at this place. There's nothing really exciting to take photos at here. And then it turns into okay, now I have to go look for another place. Do I really want to go do that? And now it's just kind of taken the joy out of spontaneously going out and taking pictures. And so I think that paired with my I need to have a purpose for what I'm doing is probably the biggest challenge.
Do you think that you've come up with any solutions for that as far as like what you possibly might do instead?
Hmm. I think actually like looking at other photographers' work of something that I'm interested in doing helps because then it kind of starts the inspiration of, oh, I love this idea they had, or the colors, or the place, but also just forcing myself to do it. Pick something, a place that I know is really pretty. Like I have so much fun going down to the dairy block and taking pictures because there's murals, there's modern, there's industrial, there's indoor, outdoor, there's seating, there's so many things there. Really just getting out and forcing myself to take a picture of something helps because then I've started the creative process. I try to go somewhere that I like, whether it's downtown or a really pretty house that's on the market that I can go see because I love interiors, like I said. And so finding inspiration in things that already exist helps me get started on things because then I have more motivation to actually set things up and create because I feel like I've accomplished something. I guess like, oh, I took a picture of this thing out in the wild and it looks really good. I can totally go set up things now and take a picture and it'll look really good.
Yeah. Well, and so you mentioned the interior design. You do work in real estate as like more of your full-time job. Do you imagine those eventually kind of blending together somehow for certain projects?
I have thought about it. I don't know the answer yet.
Mm.
It is not on my agenda yet to buy a wide angle lens that you need to take pictures of houses because otherwise it's very personal, which
Yeah.
shows off more the mood of the place, not necessarily the house itself, which
Mm.
there might be a market. Sometimes I see really nice listings that do have photos like that, but not all of them. And it feels like it might be limiting. I have no idea. No, though, this is just all conjecture and me getting in the way of myself.
Yeah, no worries,
Yeah.
no worries. I mean, it's just sometimes you just don't know until the opportunity presents itself too. I mean, it could be not something that crossed your mind and then something pops up and you're like, I would really love to, you know, mesh these two projects or two styles together. And it creates a project that you just didn't expect.
Yeah, exactly. I've been wanting to just go rent a wide angle for a day or two and go see how I feel about doing it.
Mm.
I know that if once you start and you get your brand and then you do photos of a certain style or type, you'll get those clients, right? But since I am someone who's so inspired by the environment and colors and shapes and textures, when I walk into a fully empty house, unless there's something really cool going on with like the windows and the late afternoon sun, it just feels so boring. I'm like, I don't want to take pictures of there's nothing here for me.
Yeah, right. Would it be more I don't know how this works, but for people that are interior designers, how do they showcase their portfolio and work? Do they have a photographer take care of that stuff or do they do it themselves?
I think a lot of that is themselves.
Mm.
Usually I see stagers photos and it looks like they took the
Stager.
picture there once they were done setting everything up. I have been considering just messaging a few stagers whose cards I have, and I did take pictures of their stuff and they're like, hey, this house is really beautiful. Here's some pictures.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe they need it for marketing.
Yeah, definitely. Stagers, that's what my brain was like, what is the word? Because you have interior designers, but you also have stagers. Stagers has experience with interior design, but then you have the interior designers that come in because a client's like, "Hey, I need this, new, new setup or new style for a room or whatever. I need
Yeah.
help with that stuff." But the stagers is what I was kind of gearing towards, because to showcase some of that stuff, it's nice to be able to sell a property with it staged, because you're right, when it's empty it's kind of hard to really showcase the potential of what you could do with a room or with a
Mhm.
space.
Yeah, yeah. Without getting on the tangent too long, there's definitely two parts to staging. Like seeing a house that feels like it's ready to be lived in, even if it's not your style,
Mm.
does something emotionally, like you're attracted to it. There's some stat that like the kitchen, the living room, and the bedroom yield the most positive results to have staged. So if you can only stage a couple places, you do that because that's where we spend our time. Like, oh, yes, that kitchen's beautiful with all the things out in the dining room. My stuff doesn't look like that, but that's beautiful. I want this place and I'll make it look like that.
Yeah.
But also size. The amount of people I've taken into homes, they're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if my things will fit in here because there's nothing to give them a sense of scale. There is no bed, or the bed's way too big and it doesn't work. But usually, when there's nothing there, they're like, I don't actually know how my stuff is going to work because they have no reference for the size of anything.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Absolutely. So, on the flip side of the challenges that we were discussing, what about some of the accomplishments that you feel like you've experienced recently as far as your photography and stuff like that? Because you and I were kind of discussing that you have a couple projects coming up this summer. Let's talk about that.
So I did my first wedding last year. It was for a longtime family friend's daughter. She finally got married. I got invited to her bridal shower and I brought the camera because, what else? I've got to practice
Yeah.
taking pictures of people. And something went weird with the invite, so I never got it. And she asked if I was going to be at the wedding. I'm like, yeah, sure, of course. Well, what else am I going to do? And then I asked her if she needed any help with anything. And her mom and her sister just looked at the camera in my hands. I'm like, okay, I see where this is going. So kind of impromptu, but it was so good. It was such a blast. She loved the pictures. I brought my partner and put him on the instant print photos so they could have some tangible hard copies.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, just hearing her gush about the photos, seeing her change like her Facebook profile picture to one of them, it was so exciting because it's like, I did that. I took a pretty picture and she loved it.
Yeah.
And so her other sister asked me to do the wedding later this year. And then a friend of a friend, I guess, caught mention that I am a photographer from my former partner. And she messaged me out of the blue and asked to set up a meet. We can go over the contract and pricing and stuff. And so I went and I met with her. We're doing her wedding in September. But I am so excited for that because she was telling me there while we were meeting at the consult. She's like, so me and my partner, we looked at like dozens of photographer pages and I liked some and he liked some
Yeah.
and I didn't like some of the ones that he liked. And you were the only person who had photos that we both liked so much. And like, oh yeah, I just have to fan myself for a minute there. Like, oh, little 13-year-old me with the Nikon would have never imagined we were gonna have that moment.
Yeah. I bet that feels really good though, because then just to have two people that see what you see and really like it, that's super exciting. So
Yeah. And they both agreed on it.
yeah.
Like, that's just so cool.
Yeah.
So that I think was one of the most proud moments I've had. Otherwise, just actually being able to take pictures the way I imagine it. I splurged on what everyone calls a nifty 50 and extra splurged to get the really big aperture because, it's fun, it's pretty. And so now I can do those pictures where one little bit is in focus and the rest of the background is all blurred out and makes the lights into the little circles. And it's so dreamy. And I remember being on DeviantArt when I was like 11 and seeing photographs of like a lantern or something. And it was much like that. Like the frame was in focus perfectly. And then the background and the leaves, it had just blurred out and turned sparkly. And it was the most dreamy thing that I had ever seen in my life. I'm like, I have to do this. And then I just got this lens and I whoopsied into it. I'm like, I'm doing it. I'm taking the dreamy photos.
You can tell your 11-year-old self that you did it, you made
I
it.
did it. I did it. I'm fulfilled with my dreamy blurry photos.
Yeah. You know, sometimes it feels silly to talk about those things, but at the same time, it feels so good because you're just like, wow, it actually did happen, you know? And it
Mhm.
just goes to show that some of those dreams really can come true.
Right? And I never realized how important it was
Yeah.
when I was that age. It's like, "Oh, yeah, that's pretty. I wanna do that." But, you got school, you got a million different things that you're doing. You're trying to figure out how to take good pictures without any art education and stuff, and then you come back into it when you're an adult, and the feeling is so powerful that I did it. I didn't realize that I needed to do this, and now I've done it.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's like, man, now that I've done it, I can't imagine in it any other way.
Yeah, yeah. Now I'm gonna go do that more, go do art.
Yeah.
I think another proud moment was on the Seattle trip at the conservatory. They looked at me when I was walking and they're like, "No photos, no portraits, no none of that." I'm like, "Okay, I want to take some pictures of the flowers. Pretty, right?" And so they had set up at the other side of the greenhouse a I assume there was gonna be paid photography with like a Santa and family portraits and stuff. And so I had my partner and all of his siblings. Mom wasn't there yet. And we walked over there and they're like, "Oh my God, this is perfect. Charity, take a picture." And I'm like, "Okay, we're not supposed to." And so all four of them got over there, posed, goofed around for like 45 seconds. And I took a whole bunch of pictures, scrolling between them. Which one's better? They're the same picture, right? And so I decided to give that to my partner's mom for Christmas because it's all four of her kids, in a really nice portrait together that's kind of Christmassy, not too much. Wrapped it for her, got it printed, framed. She had little tears. It was
Oh.
so cute. I'm like, I did it. She likes my silly picture.
And what was normally just a silly little fluke turned into a special, like, forever moment, which is
Mm,
great. And I think that's the best part about photography is sometimes photography, you can't always depict what you're trying to accomplish through the lens, but when you do and it pays off and it's just like a forever memory that you just have years and years to look back on, I think the importance of photography is just capturing those moments that you you might be able to remember, but then you can encase it and, like, hold on to it forever, so that's what's really special, I think, about photography.
I agree with that. And circling back, you mentioned you have so many pictures on your phone. I am notoriously bad at taking pictures of things. Like when I go out or I'm with family or whatever, we're going somewhere, I'm in the moment. Why am I going to take my phone out and take a
Mm,
picture? Am I going to look at this picture later? Maybe. I mean, my phone's probably going to show it to me and be like, "Hey, look what you did last year." And that's cool. But I'm so, yay, I'm here. I'm doing this thing.
yeah.
So I've been having to apply so much mindfulness of no, bring the camera, have the camera kind of out, don't drop it like a dummy, and just take pictures.
Yeah. Well, I guess so to kinda counteract that thought is that I I was also the same way in being like I took all these photos and they kind of just sat there collecting dust on my phone. Technology dust or however you want to put it. But the thing that I started implementing this last year, which really helped me, is journaling. And so when I do the either the junk journaling or my yearly journaling, I try to put some of those photos into my journal so then that way at least it's going somewhere. So like I started doing this like kind of scrapbooking kind of thing. So then that way all the photos that I do take, I mean, at least like 2 or 3 of them, the best ones out of the
Yeah.
50 that I take, at least some of them are in a more creative layout and set up in a way that I can look back at it years to come. I wanted to get better at documenting the photos I took and doing something with them. I don't know, maybe that's something to consider when some of the portfolio or photos that you take, it's not just necessarily sitting on your phone anymore. You're editing and putting that out there and, like for the wedding, I mean, that's huge. Those photos are going to be part of their life forever.
Mhm.
So that's like super important. So even though the mundane little things might not seem as important at first, I mean, later on, there's like those moments where I'm like, I'm so glad I took those photos, whether, I didn't think I needed them anyway. It was nice to have them.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the Instax Instant Print helps with that a little bit. I did start kind of a scrapbook with some of the ones that they just print out on the spot, and then you have your pretty picture. So that is a nice, easier way to do it because then I don't have to go print out all of these photos and this, that, and the other. It's just kind of like right there. Of course, the challenge is I need to actually sit down and, keep up with it, but one step at a time.
Yes, baby steps. Always baby steps. So, who would you say is your like biggest motivator, cheerleader, inspiration for your photography and really any creative aspect of your life that you've experienced?
My motivation and cheerleader is definitely my partner. It's so special to have someone who is just so hyped about your artistic endeavors. Like, he was hyped that we got to do the wedding. He's over the moon that we get to go do more weddings because, like, obviously I want to do it and he's excited for me, but I make him come and help and he's excited to do that too because it's a creative outlet for him as well. And then he was excited when I got the lens and excited when I go do an open house and I actually take a whole bunch of pictures and I'm like, babe, come look at this. And I show him my camera screen. He's like, well, that's really nice. I'm like, I know. And so it's just, it's so hard not to be motivated when you have someone who's constantly hyping you up and enjoys what you do and enjoys that you talk about it and share with it. As for most inspiring, like, other artists, oh my gosh, I feel like I have to go open up like Instagram or my DeviantArt page to go find actual names because I'm one of those people that I save things that I like because I don't know, I hoard pretty things, I guess. And so, and so my hard drive, which is now my wallpapers on my monitor, they switch like every 10 to 15 minutes, is just paintings and photography of beautiful things that I like. There's like 30,000 pictures in there of just stuff that I love. That's so cool. That's inspiring. Save. I won't see it for months, but I know
Yeah.
it's there.
Yeah. And it's a special little golden egg. And you're
Mhm,
just
mhm.
like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I remember saving it and this, that, and the other. A lot of photographs and artists that I like are more moody with things, like a little darker tones, cooler, kind of subdued. I'm not much for very bright and like midsummer day type photos and stuff. So anything that's on the little darker cloudy day vibes, right, is what I draw most of my inspiration from. Although a good sunset is really hard to beat.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. So, besides other artists and their work and stuff like that, what else keeps you motivated, inspired to keep creating, especially during those like days of artist block and stuff like that? How do you kind of revert back and get back into the creative flow?
Really just knowing that I'll be sad if I don't. There was a weird period years back where I didn't draw anything for months and I wasn't taking pictures. And I swear I had the worst depression of my life. And I didn't realize it in that moment. Like, who does? And especially who realizes, oh, it's because I haven't drawn anything today. Like, that's so way out there. And then once I figured out, I'm like, oh my gosh, I really have to do this all the time just to be happy or be sane. Like, I start feeling unwell and irritable if I don't create pretty things. It's just like what my heart wants to do all the time, make something pretty. So I know that I need to do it, which I mean is good. It makes me do it, but just surrounding myself with things that make me happy or pretty things and people that are creative and encouraging. Like, I got rid of a lot of decor and got more things that are moodier and my style. And so now I walk around my house and it's like, oh, that's really pretty. It's a dark thing. There's a little bit of red. That's inspiring. Am I going to take a picture of it? Maybe. But I'm now in the mood and I'm thinking about creative things and composition and ideas. So for me, it's so much about the environment of just having things that I find beautiful around me that I can interact with or see to keep that constantly in my mind. And then obviously the people that we surround ourselves with does so much. So I always try to have those creative types around me or at least have art conversations And even talking to other people about what they're working on can do so much for art block because it's like, oh, I see you're working on this thing. You're solving your own creative problems. That just gave me an idea. Then boom, you're
Yeah.
just doing it. Yeah.
Right. It's all interconnected in really what seems like small ways, but it makes a huge difference for sure. Like just talking about art, I'm like, oh, I'm passionate about art, but then I get to talk to someone else that's also passionate about art. And then you start talking, and I'm like, man, now I really want to sit down and create something.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, I gotta go draw.
just like that. It just pumps me up. Like, it's
Mhm.
like
Truly.
just that little adrenaline or that like little cup of coffee that most people take every morning. It's like that's kind of what it is for me as far as talking about art with other creatives and stuff like that. But
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
environment and people definitely make a huge difference for sure. And I would say that it's good that you keep on going and knowing yourself well enough that you know that you need it, because when I was younger I didn't understand that either, and as I've gotten older and I spent more time like just self-reflecting and understanding myself more, I realize I'm the same way, that when I don't create anything I feel kind of moody and off and everything, and I'm like, why am I just feeling so off lately? And then I create and I'm like, that's what it was.
That's what it was.
That's what it
Fixed it.
was. Like, okay, I'm starting to understand a theme here.
Uh-huh.
I
Uh-huh.
I need to create often and
Always.
regularly.
Always be creating.
Yep, even if it's ugly or not what I imagine, at least it's something, because it's better than not creating, and then my brain's like, I should have created. I should have created something. Like, I feel so bad now that I not created.
And it's so powerful to overcome the what if it's ugly because, I'm a perfectionist. I want it to be pretty. I want to do it right, whatever that looks like to me. I want it to be accurate. If I'm drawing a person, I want it to be proportionally and physically accurate. When I'm taking a picture, it's so hard for me not to just make it exactly like real life and maybe then amp it up and like break away and do something more fun or creative or abstract with it. And so it's taken so long to just draw, even if it's ugly, take a picture, even if it's not perfect or the lights in the wrong place, whatever, just do it. Like, what else are you gonna do? Not do it and then be sad? That's that's
Right.
weak.
Yeah, it's better to create it and end up out ugly, and then you can always recreate it to make it better, but it's better to do it at least initially, and then you can always improve on it later versus not doing it at all. And there's times where it's like, even take photography. I mean, it's a huge example, and we already kind of touched on it a little bit, is that you're going to take 50 photos and probably 49 of them are going to look ugly, but you're going to have that one that's really worth like editing and taking more time on,
Mhm.
and it's worth at least taking the photos versus not at all.
Yeah. And one thing that I really learned through college and just doing art is the power of stepping back from something. Because you look at it for so long, the 50 selfies of yourself or your drawing or whatever it is, and you're like, oh God, these all suck. Why am I taking these pictures? These are all bad, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then you pick one. But then months later, I come back to some pictures that I took somewhere else or even one of the houses or on a trip. And I'm like, I totally just overlooked this photo. It's amazing. And then I go back and re-edit it so much time later, and then a whole nother wave of inspiration comes over because I'm seeing the picture with new eyes. I might have forgotten what my initial goal was with that photo and why it didn't work. And now I'm just seeing it for the first time. It feels like, and it's like, whoa, there's so many possibilities with this picture. Hooray. And now I suddenly have more pictures that are great because I just chilled out for a little while.
Yeah, right. And you can take that same mentality and apply it to any sort of creation. Because, like, let's say I sketch something in my journal and it's completely ugly, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm not doing anything with that right now. And
Yeah.
so you step away, but then you come back and you're like, okay, now that I've taken some time away, some new events have happened since then. I can really take this image and maybe turn it into this. Like, you really have to sometimes just put it out on paper and then come back to it later once you've kind of either grown or experienced or just seen something that like really just kicked off those brainwaves that you're just like, oh, okay, I didn't have that originally when I first looked at that image, but now that I do, or even skills. I mean,
Mhm.
sometimes it's just practicing. And then you're like, okay, well, I still like that composition, but now that I have the skills to really hinder in on what I want, then I can take it and recreate it in the way that I want it to be presented. So I think that it definitely is a really good suggestion in just coming back to it later. Just step away for a little while. Don't take the initiative to delete everything yet.
Yeah,
just
just
take a step
close the
back.
page for a minute. Yeah, step back. Close Lightroom, close Photoshop, close the sketchbook, walk around for a while, do something else.
Mhm.
And I think that's really so powerful because I am actually losing count of how many old photos or sketchbooks or work in progress files I've actually come back to and
Mm.
finished. Like, not even just days later, like weeks and months later. And sometimes there's a skill improvement, sometimes there isn't. But just coming back to it fresh and then feeling that wave of inspiration is so good.
Yeah.
And inspiration in itself is such a complicated thing sometimes. Like, this is so unrelated, but I read this quote once that was like, the time to read the book, whatever book it is when you feel compelled to pick it up and like when you buy it.
Mhm.
Because if you don't read it, then are you going to read it later? No, it's probably just going to sit on your shelf, right? And so I found inspiration to be really similar like that. So even if it's a bad sketch or you're not in a place to draw the way that you want or whatever, it's a bad picture. If you're inspired to get the idea out, you gotta. And then your mind will be happy you did the thing. It's not great, but you still did it. And then later you can come back and you're like, I don't even have to go through so much of the process to make this a finished art piece. I've already done the work for myself in the past when I had this idea. It's you just walk up and you can start working on it.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Well, and there's times where if you don't act on it too, like I used to have a really tiny like notebook that I would just write things down, but it would be so long from coming back to it that I was like, what was I trying to say there? I don't even know. So it's definitely better to act on it at least as soon as possible to writing it down or having the idea is
Mhm.
because so many things change and alter and stuff like that. So you're never going to have the same mentality of that idea or that concept, years later. You have to do it now while it's still fresh. Otherwise,
Mhm.
you're going to be like, I don't even know what I was trying to say there.
Yeah. How was I feeling when I started this?
Yeah.
I can't feel that way right now.
yeah. Yeah. So you gotta. So besides really just stepping away and coming back to it, and also kind of acting on things that you are feeling at the time and not letting it linger too long, what else would you say as far as words of wisdom to other aspiring artists or creatives, really just any stage of their journey? Because I feel like we're all working through it together. So it's like, what would you suggest?
It feels almost cliche to say, but just do it. There's literally no reason not to. Like, okay, if you're driving, yeah, maybe don't start sketching or taking pictures right there. But if you don't have anything going on that is physically occupying you in such a way that it'd be detrimental to your health or your well being, just do it. There's no reason not to. And don't be afraid to try and fail and think that it sucks. Every picture has an ugly phase, even photographs. Sometimes you take the picture and in real life it looks beautiful, everyone's where they need to be, and the picture's ugly. You can fix that later. Just take the picture and you have it. Now you can work with it. If you don't start and you don't take the picture and you don't start the sketch, you have nothing to work with later. And now you don't have anything at all because you have to start from the beginning or before the beginning with the whole idea or whatever. And don't be afraid to ask for help or ask questions. I know when I was younger, I would always ask artists how they did something, what their process was, blah, blah, blah. What brushes are you using? How did you get that effect? What camera do you have? What are your lenses? Blah, blah, blah. And I got burned a few times, which sucked and definitely made me recluse. But I realized that. And it's the same. Just go ask questions. Like most people want to talk about art. It's kind of like talking about oneself, but it's the thing that they're passionate about. And so we want to help other people make the beautiful things that they want and bring their visions to life. There's nothing more satisfying than doing that and then helping other people do that. So really, I think the best advice is just do it, just try, find out what you like, find out what you don't like, find out why you like those things. How can you pursue what you like more? How can you avoid doing what you don't like in art? And then just do it. There is no wrong way to do art except for not doing it at all.
Yeah, definitely. I absolutely agree. Nobody else can see it, but like I've over been here like nodding my head back and forth. I'm like, yep,
Yeah,
yep.
girl.
Like you said
That's right. And I think even with art block, especially with drawing, pictures is a whole different ball game, but talking about drawing is sometimes easier for that. Just sketch something. Sometimes I draw little circles. Sometimes I get out my watercolors and I make bubbles. It's
Yeah.
nothing more than just drawing a little circle with water and then tapping color in it. And it's so zen and it gets me in the physical habit of just doing art, and then my brain's already there. It's like, oh, those bubbles look really nice.
Yeah.
Maybe we can actually paint something now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that picture turned out kind of nice. We were just messing around on the phone. Maybe it's time to go get the camera.
It's so funny that you mentioned the bubbles because I have a guided creativity episode type on my podcast, and one of them is making bubbles. Like that's like
I love
'cause
that.
it really is. Sometimes it's just taking a few minutes to scribble something,
Mhm.
making something simple like bubbles or like coloring something. It really doesn't take a whole lot to get into the creative flow. It's just starting. And you and I even kind of talked about that prior to the episode starting, is that sometimes it is tricky to get started, but once you start, it just flows. But
Yeah.
it's just doing those little exercises or those little challenges that help just like kind of just get yourself into the zone. And then you're like, okay, this wasn't really meant for anything. It just was to get the juices flowing. And it's just like, okay, now I'm ready to actually create something I'm, meant to create. It's just need to start.
Yeah, sometimes the brain needs to be tricked. I know that I love painting or I love taking photos or even love editing my photos, but in some moments it's just, I don't want to do that. That doesn't sound fun right now. What if I want to go read or go play with the cat or do something completely non-productive? No, just
Yeah.
just do some little bubbles. Just drag a slider around and see what happens, because inspiration pops up in the weirdest places. You never know. Maybe that terrible edit that you laughed at because it was just so bad actually has like great colors somewhere that you can use for something else. Just
Yeah, definitely.
just stim with it.
Stick with it, I promise.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
There's light at the end of the tunnel.
There is.
So let's see here. One of my biggest questions for you, apart from the wedding that you have coming up, what other creative goals do you have in mind as far as your creative path in photography or perhaps other mediums?
Oh boy. Such a
Mhm.
hard question.
It
I-
is, especially when you want to do all the things.
Yeah. The greatest piece of advice I heard about that was you can do anything, but you can't do everything. So pick something. And that just kind of felt like a slap in the hand. 'Cause like, what if I don't want to pick? What if I just want to keep doing it all? No, that's not how we do things well, and we don't achieve our goals that way. I want to do more weddings. I want to actually work with some models. I think probably one of my biggest personal goals is to go to some places in Europe and Germany where there is actual Gothic architecture and work with some of those beautiful models that are over there in the Gothic world and just take portraits of them. Like, that is so high on my dream list of things.
Yeah.
Other goals would be actually have my art in a gallery, and goals were hard.
Well, I mean, they don't have to be, I mean, they can be as extravagant as you want them to be.
Mhm.
Okay, so I do have a question. It's a little bit more controversial, but it is a huge aspect of our society right now and where our world is headed as far as a mesh between technology and art and stuff like that, which is AI. I feel like right now, as artists, we're trying really hard to showcase our work without the assistance of AI. And I know AI is easily like click of a button, type a couple things, and you have stuff. And with being part of the illustration world as well as the photography world. I just want to get your input on where you stand with that, because it can be hard to compete with people that are like, oh, yeah, I just need a photo of X, Y, and Z, and it just creates it for you. Yet it doesn't have that human touch like you can when you create. It might seem as simple as clicking a button, but you have so much more vision as far as creating that piece than I feel like a digital AI system can create. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. So I feel complicated about this topic in a lot of ways. I can see the value that AI can have as a tool in your toolbox. And what I mean by that is, oh, I want to make a painting and I have kind of a mental image of what I want. And I've done my thumbnails and I'm really struggling. Like, I can't just make it. So sometimes AI can be useful if you know how to describe what you want. Of, oh, I want this moody castle and there's a woman standing on the ledge with a red scarf. And I just can't get it right. Now I can make a computer give me some really crappy images of that and kind of pull inspiration from it, kind of like a really complicated thumbnail. You know what I mean? So I can see that there's some value in it when you use it like that, because now it's, oh, these pictures aren't real, but they're going on my mood board. So I can see the colors. Oh, I kind of like the composition of this one, but it's not exactly right. And then just having that in my stack of references as I make the piece, because I'm still doing all the work. Like, I'm drawing this out, I'm getting my references of castles, of people, of red scarves. Maybe I'm taking a picture of myself in that pose. More photography stuff there, right? But I need a little help to see something. You know what I mean? But when it comes to full on illustrations or other things like that, just why? There's no soul, there's no love. You can tell it's not real. It's probably not going to get the angle that you want because it's only trained on so many angles. And I don't know if those artists have ever drawn something in that angle or taken a photo just the way that you want. So it doesn't feel like it will ever get what we truly want inside, because it's using things that other people have made, not what we see and what we want to create. I'm so sad that there's so much AI art on Pinterest and Google searches, because sometimes I want a reference picture or an idea of something that I can't just go get. Like, I don't live near a Victorian castle or Gothic architecture. I can't just go take a picture of that by the sunset. Like, I can't. And so I want to go see pictures of it for something to draw or to get a mood board going or some other idea I have. And then I'm just bombarded with these fake pictures that don't have anything to them, and I have to sift through and scroll and scroll and scroll and hope that the one that I think is real is actually real, or else I'm really sad about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There have been moments where I'm like, oh, this is so cute. And then I find out it's AI. I'm like,
No, heartbreak.
my heart hurts.
I did learn, however, I was using Stable Diffusion for a while just to, like I said, give me a concept of something. I want to see what this looks like. I want to see what the computer thinks this looks like. Oh, that's a cool picture. What if I made a painting inspired by this, right?
Yeah.
Getting what you want via prompts is actually so hard. Like, it was definitely a lesson in creative writing and the thesaurus, because you can't just type, I want a girl sitting on a bench. Okay,
Right.
that will get you literally a girl sitting on the bench, but what do you actually want to see? What is your angle? What is your time of day? What is your clothing? All that stuff. So,
Mhm.
in some way, I got a lot out of that just because I had to think about the image that I want to create more, which just made me draw better and then close the tab for Stable Diffusion. So, whatever.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about AI on the more reference and kind of just assisting with creating that visual aspect that you might not have just trying to come up with it inside your head. So it definitely is a good tool. But how would you feel about the business aspect of it, in where AI kind of takes artist jobs?
Right,
Because
the commercial.
yeah, because that's a huge thing right now, is that people can easily create a logo with AI without having to actually talk to a graphic designer. So it's like, are we worried as a community about losing jobs as creatives because we have this technology easily and readily available?
That's a good question, and I feel like that is such a double-edged sword because it's very excluding and improper to say, well, just figure it out yourself, like how to draw it or go do get those skills, go whatever, go hire a graphic designer. That's a lot of money. Some people who just need a little logo don't have the money to do that, maybe in time that they will. So I can see how it can break down some barriers, which as an artist, I love that. Like, I want people to be able to create whatever it is that their heart desires. It's sad that it's using other artists' blood, sweat, and tears to make. Definitely. In terms of like illustration and using AI to replace artists in a business sense, that's just sad. I guess it's faster. I don't think it's as good. If it's a company with money, then certainly the artist can be paid, right?
Right.
If it's like I'm running a D&D game for my friends and I don't have any art skills and I want to have like a picture of a character, that's a little different. Like I'm trying to provide entertainment. No one's spending my money or their money on anything. I'm just sitting at the dining table with my friends.
Yeah.
But if you're selling something and you're using AR, that's just mean and sad.
Well, and kind of what you mentioned before, it's just soulless. It just comes from a computer, and you're like, this doesn't have any heart and soul. It doesn't have any human touch. I mean, for me, I just keep thinking about this stupid meme that I kept seeing. It was like saying, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, but along the lines of, I wanted AI or technology to do my dishes and laundry, not make my art for me. Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
so true. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do laundry and dishes and stuff. Why can't we find systems to create and do stuff like that for us versus art?
I always wanted Jarvis from Iron Man as
Yeah.
my AI that like solves problems and sometimes tells a lame joke, but like will go think about things while I'm doing another thing, not take my creative freedom and say that they made it. I think to kind of answer your question of are we worried as artists in a society? Yes, but also no, because as diabolical and terrible as it is, the AI needs to be trained on something, right? And so if you just keep training it on its own images, it gets really ugly. You know what I mean? It's just so bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like if we continue on this path, which I'm sure we will, I just feel like there should be some rules implemented as far as how they're used. Because, for example, on social media, the fact that there are images that have improved so much, I can't tell whether they're AI or real, is stating the fact that they are AI, I feel like would really kind of maybe help the situation a little bit, because instead of assuming that everything is real, you now you're starting to question everything. It should be, I feel like, enforced that we are required to state that it's AI or not. I know that they do that for like things like Amazon
Mhm.
and stuff like that, but I think it should be taken a little further in on social media. If it's AI, you have to state that it's AI, because there have been images and videos that look super realistic,
Mhm.
and it gets scary because if it affects us in our society, I mean, what happens when it's not just about art anymore? It's about, politics, and I don't want to get into all that, but it's just like it could be detrimental to us. It's just people not knowing what's real.
Sure. And that's really what bothers me the most. I feel like there's a few ways to respond to this, but I don't want to lose all my thoughts. So, it was really sad to me a while ago, like on Facebook or whatever, and you see this gorgeous, there's air quotes there, picture of a lake in the fall, right, with these beautiful trees. And I know that it's fake. But then you see the comments, people asking where this place is. Oh my God, that's so beautiful. Especially when the poster is like, our beautiful world or something like that. And it's like, no, this isn't real. None of this is real. Which leads me to the second thing. One of my professors at college said that art and illustration is lying to the viewer. And I agree with that and I like that. Not necessarily lying in like a negative, I'm going to get you sort of way, but you want the viewer to believe what they're looking at can happen or is real. Like that's why we love comics, we love illustrations, we love paintings of the masters, from history and all of that. We love all of that stuff because we believe in some amount that happened. We believe that story. Like it's real enough. It's done well to convince the person that, yeah, this person totally could exist in this world that I'm being shown. Like that checks out. And so I love art for that. But when you just take AI art and then you go lie to people, it feels so wrong. Like, I hate that it is literally just lying to people. Like, our beautiful Earth, it's not a real picture. It's a combination of hundreds of actual pictures, maybe, but it's not real. And so now these people have been effectively lied to, but there is no joy. There's no story there. It's not some world that isn't real that they believe exists because it looks real, it's grounded or whatever. So that's really what bothers me about it is lying to the viewer in sort of like a shameless way.
Yeah. Well, and it's like you're just putting more pressure and stress on an artist to really provide that proof, which it's kind of unfair because you want to be able to showcase your skills and your work, but now it's being questioned by everybody. I guess thinking about it, hard to manage that sort of thing, but I just feel like it would put less pressure and stress on the artist to prove that they actually created it.
Yeah. I've been noticing the AI tag on Pinterest, which is kind of nice because then I can disregard it, right? I'm looking for a reference. This isn't real, right? I want my reference to be accurate and stuff, but it's not as prevalent as it needs to be, especially I think in the public space. That picture is not real. We need to know that this isn't real.
Yeah, right. Like it, and it kind of hurts because you put all this work into this piece, and then for people to be like, "This is fake," and I'm like, "It's not though."
Right? Gosh, I can't imagine.
Yeah, because I've seen a couple watercolor artists that they've showed that there's people commenting that it's not real, and so they're having to show demonstration videos to show that it's like it's real. Like this is not AI, and that's a bummer. That's just putting more work and stress and all this extra load on artists to show their uniqueness and show their authenticity and
Mhm.
stuff like that. So,
I think it's also just kind of stressful and unfair to artists that it's another form of artwork stealing. Like, I remember way back when DeviantArt was really big and also still weird, but still really big, and all of that before ArtStation and stuff, and how there was a few artists talking about their work getting stolen and their watermark was like cropped out, and now it was on the cover of like some browser game or some other thing. And it's like, yeah, art has always been stolen, especially in the digital world. And now it's stolen in a completely different way that you can't even just see and then get a lawyer and write that company, hey, don't use my art. You didn't have authorization for that. No, it's so embedded into the AI that, oh my gosh,
yes.
inescapable. It's so sad.
Yeah. Yeah. But I feel like because there's artists still out there, we as a community will make sure that we're still creating from the heart and soul versus just,
Hmm.
technology and AI and stuff like that, cuz I feel like it will never deplete completely. There's always going to be art, there's always going to be traditional art, and I feel like sometimes perhaps, and kind of crossing fingers a little bit, is that there's going to be people that specifically sought out traditional works or handmade works from humans because of the fact that maybe it's more special and it comes from the human hand versus, a robot. So,
Hmm. Absolutely. I think most of us value creativity and creation by another person over just what the robot does. I think when we're so wrapped up scrolling online and all of that stuff that it's harder. And so definitely stepping back once again from all of that and appreciating the world around us and the art will go so far in revaluing artists' work and actual physical art, whether it's digital or traditional or whatever medium the artist does.
Yeah, and I feel maybe the appreciation of those artists will intensify because they know that the work that goes into making it versus just a prompt on online.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, well, you can type a couple words, but I actually made this with my bare hands, so
Mhm. Blood, sweat, and tears, baby.
yeah. Yeah. So maybe the price of art will go up. Maybe that's a possibility too, just because of how valuable it is compared to digital, like digital representations on AI art.
Mhm.
Maybe,
Maybe.
maybe
Maybe.
the worth has increased.
The worth increases exponentially after you're dead, though.
Oh yeah, yeah, I'd be like that because it
Yeah.
becomes rare and unique, and you'll never get anything else like it ever again. So
Mhm.
yeah. That is a possibility. Not maybe not a possibility. Maybe it's more like an inevitable like situation. But I'm worried about while we're still alive.
Yeah.
Not when we're dead. All right, girl. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me on this little interview of ours.
You are
And
welcome.
I will obviously have you on again to see where you're at here in a year's time,
Yay.
updates and all. And for those of you that enjoyed this interview and enjoyed Charity and want to know more about her artwork and her photography and stuff like that, be sure to check out her website and her Instagram. I will post it in the description below. And we'll catch you all later. So thank you so much for being on here, Charity. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
Now it's time to go edit some more photos, yeah?
Yes, yes, and play with the cat. I think she just woke up.
Oh, I know. I see her in the background. She's so cute. All right. Well, I will talk to you soon. What a fun and meaningful conversation. I always love getting to hear how other creatives navigate their journey, especially when it comes to balancing life, work, and making time for what they love. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to check out Charity's work. I've linked her website and Instagram in the description so you can follow along and show your support. And as always, if you are a creative and you'd like to share your story on Canvas and Conversations, I'd love to connect. Just reach out and we can get something scheduled. Until next time, keep creating in whatever way feels good to you. Goodbye for now.